Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Check this out. Yesterday, we touched on a video about a gentleman out in North Carolina that had the strangest encounter I think I've ever heard of. He was driving down the road. He saw what looked like a man standing by the road that possibly was injured. A few seconds later, something jumps in the back of his truck. He didn't know what it was. He was describing it as non-human. Well, we listened to the supposed 911 call yesterday, and check this out. I got an email from Amy Hobbs referring me to Carolina Case Files, and it turns out that this incident really did happen. We're going to listen to the actual 911 call in its entirety, and then Rusty from Carolina Case Files interviewed the gentleman that this happened to on a dark country road out here in the middle of North Carolina. It was pitch black. I'm actually going to take you to the location right here. We're going to go in on Google Earth to the location that the gentleman stopped his truck, where he waited on the deputy sheriffs to arrive, and they went back to the location where this happened to see if they could find this creature that was in the back of his truck. Again, this was verified. It is a true story. Here's the actual 911 call.
Henry County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm driving on 210. I just crossed the Black River, and I thought I saw a guy standing on the side of the road bleeding.
Okay, where are you at, sir?
I'm on 210. I just crossed the Black River. I'm heading towards 53 East. I just passed Patriots Watch.
Okay, so you're over near Morse Creek?
Yes.
Okay. And did you saw a man standing on the side of the road? What was that, sir?
That's not human! That's not human!
Sir, are you okay, sir?
There's something in the bed of my truck!
Okay, what's in the road?
No, it's not in the road. It's in my truck. In the bed.
There's something in the bed of your truck?
Yes, ma'am. I just turned on my bed light for my truck, and there's something in my bed.
Okay, sir, when you say something, what do you mean?
I just knocked it off to the bed of my truck and went over my roof.
Okay, what was it?
Okay, if you listen real close right there, you could hear his engine throttle as the RPMs went way up as he kicked it into high gear and he went to that gas station that I just showed you guys. Now, here's an interview with the sheriff of Pender County.
According to the CAD notes and the deputy reports, this thing jumped into the back of his pickup truck and began to actually beat on the top of the cab of his truck. You could actually hear something beating on the top of the truck. The caller stated that it was beating and scratching on the top of the cab of his truck. He actually stated that he was able to engage his bed light and was able to somewhat identify this object that was in the back of his truck. At some point, he was able to slam on his brakes, and the force of inertia actually threw this thing out over his hood and onto the highway, where this thing stood up in the roadway, made its way to the wood line, and disappeared in the woods.
Okay, that was the sheriff confirming the 911 call from the gentleman. Now, here's an actual interview with the gentleman driving the truck that this happened.
Here's the thing, life insurance isn't just about dying. And like, if you're over 30 and working, you honestly can't afford to ignore this. And here's the crazy part, you're like 3 times
happened to on the dark country road in North Carolina. Here's the interview by Rusty from Carolina Case Files.
Hi guys, it's Rusty. I'm about to interview the young man that was driving the truck the night of the frantic 911 call. T, finally I get a chance to meet you. I gotta tell you, I heard the 911 call a couple of months ago actually, and it's been a little bit of a challenge to get the sheriff's schedule, my schedule, and finally now we've got your schedule all worked out so that we can talk to you and get you to tell your story. Obviously, we're not going to share your name or your face. Totally understand that. But after talking with you, clearly your voice is the voice that's on that 911 call. So, if you would, just start wherever you want to. We want to hear the whole story. Take as much time as you need.
I guess I'll start from the beginning of the trip. I was coming up from Florida to visit my family. At the time, I was going to a trade school down there, and when I was driving up here to where the incident occurred by the battlefield, it was already easily like well into the morning. I wasn't looking at my phone. I just know it was pitch black outside, and it was pitch black. I couldn't see the moon, stars, nothing, just barely the road through my headlights. And I had my window down because the AC wasn't working the best. And as I was coming around, there's a massive right curve right there before you cross the Black River, and then after that, you have the battlefield. So on that massive black curve, as I'm coming around, I had just started the curve, and I was about a third of the way through it, and I look over into the ditch on my right, because I caught a quick glimpse of something, and I take a further look. It looks like there's I'd say probably a 30-something-year-old man standing in that ditch wearing what looks like an old Civil War uniform, just covered head to toe in blood. And the uniform was torn as well. That threw me off because I didn't expect to see it at like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm calling 911 after I see him to report that, because for all I know, it could have just been a normal guy that was injured and needed emergency help. It looked like what had happened is he hit his head on something, and the blood was just pooling down over his face and torso. And well, as I was calling, everything seemed perfectly normal. Just quick phone call to 911, let them know, hey, there's a guy out here, and try to find somewhere safe to park. That way I can take them to him. Well, as you know from the 911 call, right as soon as I reported that, I already had my window up at that point. All of a sudden, I heard a massive bang on my truck, and my truck bounced down from the rear, like I was pulling a heavy trailer and I hit a pothole. And so I'm sitting there going, what the hell was that? Which I'm pretty sure you heard me yell, what the hell? I turned on my bed light, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and all I saw was this white, like snow white face right up against my rear windshield. Like it was looking into my truck, trying to see what it could see. It had shallow, sunken eyes. It had no nose. Just think if you took skin and put it on a human skull and stretched it thin. Couldn't see any ears, just that. And immediately, I just started screaming. I didn't realize until afterwards that I had said that's not human on the call, because it was just the first thing I started screaming, because I was terrified. I didn't have my firearm with me, nothing. All I had was a wood splitting axe. So that's all I had. So, and my truck is loud as is, and it picks up speed fairly easily. Well, my truck at the time, it had a gas-powered 6-liter V8 Vortec on it, and it was a proper dual exhaust, hence why I had the window up. So that truck is nice and loud. Okay? Well, I'm doing in between like 55, 60 miles an hour when this happens, and I just stomped on the gas for a second. When I looked at the speedometer before I slammed on my brakes, I was doing maybe 80. And I slammed on those brakes with all my might, and I went from like 80 miles an hour down to like 35 in just like a couple of seconds. And all I see is this super scrawny long body just fly over my truck in a ball rolling. And as I then swerve to the left and get back in the travel lane, and I floor it. And as I'm swerving to the left, I see it stand up, and it is easily taller than that truck.
No.
I'm 5'10". The truck is about 2 inches taller than I am. this thing was easily like maybe 7 feet. And as I'm past it, I look in my mirror and I see it bolt to the left into the woods, and it looked like some, I don't even know what the hell, because it looked like somebody took a normal human and stretched them out, starting with the limbs. It, like abnormally long legs and arms, and it just took off into the woods. And I just said, nope, I'm out of here. I'm not staying to figure out what this is. And there's a gas station all the way at the corner where the highway intersects. And I pulled into that gas station. I was doing like 90 all the way to that gas station because that was the only place with any light that I saw.
Right.
And I just stopped in that parking lot and waited like 10, 15 minutes for state troopers to show up. Well, next thing I know, the state troopers show up at the gas station, and I'm just staring back at that road to make sure that it's not coming back, right? So I tell them what happened. They proceed to look at my truck, look in the bed of the truck, look on top of the cab, and on top of the cab, clear as day, you can see like it was scratching trying to get into my truck.
Really?
Or when it initially hit, another way to look at it is when it hit the back of the truck and landed in the bed, like it had latched onto the hood for a second and scraped, trying to balance itself. And you could see that clear as day. I mean, there was a couple of scratches from like squirrels and tree branches, but those stuck out because it looked like it had landed like this and just ripped backwards. And they asked me to take them approximately where it happened. And I mean, when it's the middle of the night, you're going the opposite direction of where you just came, since the direction's a little off.
Right.
So I took them back to approximately where I believe it was, because I couldn't see. I didn't remember any landmarks because I was going from the other way. But there was an S curve, and I think I took them. I think I might have taken them on accident to the S curve, but the incident happened before that S curve because I hit that S curve going about 65 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. I still remember the jolt of the truck, the fear, everything. I remember pretty much everything just in that one moment. I looked at the truck the next morning. Sure enough, scratch marks are right there on the roof of the truck.
What were the reaction of the law enforcement officers?
The law enforcement officers, when they showed up, they were skeptical. Although now they might not be as much. But at the time, the troopers especially seemed skeptical. Parks and Wildlife, when they flew the drone, they seemed more curious than anything. And EMS was more like, okay, are you okay? And they went and looked for the other guy and couldn't find him.
So the state patrol were there,
Yes.
EMS,
Yeah.
wildlife,
and
and the sheriff's department.
Yes.
I guess, because we interviewed the sheriff, so
Yes.
he had deputies out.
And I think one of them might have broken off after the initial contact with me. But I know one of them was with me. I was still in fight or flight when they told me, hey, can you go back and show us? Because I did not want to go back. I don't want to talk.
I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you.
I still refuse to drive through that area at night. I don't know what I saw. I don't ever want to see it again.
My daughter is being treated for leukemia. It hit me hard. It did.
This program explores the mysteries of the Bible from a variety